On your mark, get set, go! There she
Ah,
goes.
yes, who doesn't remember this show? From 1993 to 1995, this Nick game show captivated young audiences around the nation. It had everything, the action of an Indiana Jones-esque adventure, to the chills of a good horror story. But of course, I'm starting to get ahead of myself. Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
In the not-so-distant future, a time-traveling experiment known as the Tempest Project was undergoing its first live trial. Outfitted with temporal circuits and controls was an old Defender II class fighter, the focus of this experiment, call sign Tempest One. Its mission was simple, to travel forward in time by 1 minute. But just as the experiment was about to begin, something went wrong.
Home base, this is Tempest One. Home base, this is Tempest One. My plane is in override control. I cannot regain control of it.
Under the control of a mysterious computer virus, Tempest One was hurled out of control into what can only be called a subdimension of time itself. On occasion, the plane will re-emerge into normal time, usually within the vicinity of a game show studio. And so, the game show reviewer, in an attempt to stave off insanity, reviews game show to game show, striving to regain control of the aircraft that's stranded in here, all the while hoping that the next leap will be the leap home.
Howdy y'all, I'm your game show reviewer, reviewing the game show greats and the occasional dud. Also, welcome to my first episode. As you saw in my intro, this plane I'm currently in is currently under the control of a computer virus. For those of you who don't remember my intro, it looked something like this. Anyways, with this virus in control of my plane, it's been bouncing me around in time and space, and the only pattern I've ever been able to deduce from all this is that it always lands me near a game show studio. Now, I love game shows, let me tell you that, and I figured since I'm here, why not review these things? So that's why I'm here, and with all that out of the way, let's get going.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. This one used to be one of my all-time favorites. Some episode 101 information. It premiered on September 11th, 1993 with...
The Legend of Galileo's Cannonball.
Alright, that big talking stone head over there is called Olmec, voiced by D. Bradley Baker. Your main host swinging in here is Kirk Fogg, and he's here to explain the show. Sort of.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Olmec. Welcome to Legends of the Hidden Temple. The rooms are filled with lost treasures that are protected by mysterious Mayan temple guards.
Okay, maybe not the whole show, more like a fourth of the show. Okay, this pool off to the side of the studio is called the moat. Yes, I know it's a swimming pool, but it's a moat. Let's go with it. Right across the moat are 6 teams that start off the show, and let's meet them right now.
The Red Jaguars, the Blue Barracudas, the Green Monkeys, the Orange Iguanas, the Purple Parrots, or the Silver Snakes.
Thank you, Kirk. Now about the moat. Each episode, teams would have to cross it in a various way, doing anything but simply jumping in and swimming across, because, well, let's face it, that'd be too easy and this is a game show. This method of crossing could include anything from rafts, ropes, beams, inner tubes, or a combination of 2 or more of the above. Only the first 4 teams to make it across the moat could advance to the next round. There's really not much more to say about the moat, but I will say this. Depending on the method of crossing, this round could take anywhere from a few seconds to a few agonizingly long minutes. I'll tell you what, while the teams are finishing up, why don't we head over to the next round? I'm standing here on the steps of knowledge, the second round of play. It was here that the show's high-impact, high-intensity physical challenges would come to a crashing halt for a trivia round. First off, the legend of the day is set by Olmec, ending with some object either real or made up in the temple somewhere. After the legend was set, Olmec would ask questions usually related to the legend. To buzz in, teams would have to stomp down on this ancient marking down here, which looks a lot like an Olmec face, don't you think? Now remember when I said usually related to the legend? Well, I say that kind of loosely because occasionally they would ask a question that only had a distant connection to the legend. Why do I bring this up?
But pay attention, because your knowledge of the legend can bring you one step closer to the temple.
So where in the legend of the milk bucket of Freitas does this question come from?
Did Freitas' father, Eric the Red, start a settlement of his own on Greenland, Manhattan?
Keep in mind, the legend is about a woman who beat back a band of Eskimos with a milk bucket. If you watch the episode, you'll find no reference to this question in the legend as told. Yeah, I can understand why they did it. It was mainly because the legend as told maybe had 5 questions in it. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. Only 2 teams would advance from the steps of knowledge and onto the third round of play, the Temple Games. Let's join them now. In the second to last round, the remaining 2 teams would duel it out for the chance to enter the final round. Now, since I'm no game show host, I'm just merely a pilot doing an internet review show, I'll once again defer to game show host Kirk Fogg to explain it all.
In the Temple Games, teams are competing to win those pendants of life. The winning team will need those pendants to protect them from the dreaded temple guards as they make their way through the temple. There are 3 Temple Games. Olmec, will you tell
And now I get to tell you all about them. Now, these games didn't really have much of a solid connection to the legend. Now, I know most people consider the Steps of Knowledge to be filler, but to be totally honest, I actually consider the Temple Games more filler than the Steps of Knowledge. What do I mean? Well, take this game for instance. The legend is the enormous iron nose ring of Babe the Ox. And the game is, well...
Paul Bunyan was a giant of a man, and if he built a house, his front steps might look like this. When Kirk gives the signal, one member from each team will boost the other up to the top of the first step. Once you're up, turn and pull your partner up, then start again. When both players on your team are on the top step, grab a hammer and ring Paul's giant doorbell.
Really? Seriously, the only connection to the legend is making up some weird game and just inserting Paul Bunyan's name into there. If that's not filler, I don't know what is. But I guess I can't complain too much because the Temple Games did serve a dual purpose. They gave out little versions of the show's logo, and they also determined which of the 2 teams would be going to the temple. Oh, by the way, if there was a tie at the end of the Temple Games, then the tiebreaker would essentially be one final Steps of Knowledge question, as you can see here. You know, now I guess would be a good time to also comment on the show's changing look.
Oh yeah.
As the show progressed through its 3 years, the set got actually noticeably darker. And I don't mean in tone or in feel, I mean literally. I mean, take for instance these 2 shots. One is from Season 1 and one is from Season 3. Same location, same show, but look how dark Season 3 is compared to Season 1. Remember this point too, I'll bring it up again as we get closer to the temple. Alright, so let's recap the show so far. We've done the moat, we've done the Steps of Knowledge, and we've done the Temple Games. The final round of play is in fact the Temple Run. When you first mention this show to anyone, this is likely what they're going to remember. Game show host Kirk Fogg called it Olmec's Temple. But most of the fans, including myself, call it the Temple Run, so that's what I'm going to go with. On prominent display in the studio all throughout the show is this 12 or 13 room, depending on which season it is, convoluted multi-story maze. To put it briefly, the objective of the game is simple. Players must run into the temple, find the treasure, and then get out again before the time lapses. Like I said, in principle, very simple. But in practice...
You're gonna have to die for it, Jennifer! You're gonna have to die for it! She got it! Get it! Oh! Man, that's tough. Oh! 3, 2, 1. Oh, they ran out of time.
So why was this in-principle game such a hard thing to win? Well, first off, there was almost never a straight linear line from the gate to the treasure. Why? Because many of the doors are locked, leading to players needing to find an alternative route. Even though it's clearly stated at the beginning,
The choices are yours and yours alone.
even though our production crew left you with not much of a choice but to follow our linear route, but the choices are still yours nonetheless. Oh, by the way, remember those temple guards that were mentioned throughout the game?
Oh, that's a temple guard. Whoa! Into the tomb of the ancient. Oh, there's another one.
Oh yeah, you remember these guys. There were 3 of them stationed throughout the temple in different assigned rooms. Players can continue onward if they trade in 1 full pendant. Now, notice what I said there, 1 full pendant. I say that because the half pendant that it is possible to enter the temple with won't work against them. That is, unless the player finds a second half in the temple itself. It basically comes down to this. 1 pendant, you continue. Less than 1 pendant, you're gone. And sometimes not in the most glamorous way possible either.
Oh, a temple guard. Oh, scared him right out of the temple.
All this aside, there were quite a few wins. Some were by a mile, like this one.
Minute 12. Oh, I think he might make it up a crawl tube into the ledges. He's not doing it the easy way. He's doing it all. He's gonna make it out. She's gonna meet him. Here he comes. He got it. He got it.
Or this heart pounder.
Can she do it by herself? Go up the slide the way you came. Go hard. Go fast. It's coming down to the last minutes. Will she make it? Will she make it? She's got time. 2 seconds. She made it. She made it.
In that last clip, by the way, the team had 2 things going against them. The time, of course, and the fact that they were the purple parrots. Allow me to explain. Of the 6 teams, this one made it to the temple least often, only 11 times in the show's history. And of those 11 times, only 3 times did they ever make it out of the temple with the treasure. For those stat freaks out there, here's how this breaks down. Episode count, please. And number of wins, please. And when you look at it like that, it's a wonder I talk about this show in such high regard, isn't it? Well, I'm here in the temple, and I don't know, every time you see something inside the temple, you always have a little more information on the screen, right? Well, I'm all about authenticity, so what do you say we try to duplicate that? Time, please. Map. And go ahead and put the dot on the shrine. There we go. And I don't really have any pendants, but I do have this. And this should defend against most temple guards, don't you think? There we go. Anyways, remember the darker nature of the show I was talking about? Well, in the temple's case, it got darker and it got foggier. Take the room, the pit. It's the room immediately after the first 2 at the start of the temple. Can you put the dot there, please? Thank you. Here's from a Season 1 temple run. Take note, relatively well lit and no smoke machine. Season 2. Lower lighting levels and some fog starting to roll in. Season 3. Cascading waterfall of smoke in the background. Yeah, that's what I think of when I think ancient Mayan temple. I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this room I'm standing in.
To the shrine of the silver monkey.
And what I mean is, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how aggravated everyone would get sitting at home watching this particular room if they didn't put the damn monkey together properly. How many ways can there possibly be to put this damn thing together? 3 pieces, face them outward. It's not that hard. But then again, I'm a pilot, not a temple runner, so I don't really know much about that. Legends of the Hidden Temple, still a great nostalgic trip to the past. A reminder of simpler times for us, I suppose. Would it still hold up today? I would have to say yes, but only in its original format. For all of its flaws, it was still a great show to watch. Tune in, root for your team, learn a little history, and just generally have a good time with that. For a Nick game show, it worked out in so many ways. Like I said at the top of the review, it had thrills, it had chills, and all of that wrapped into what seemed like a great adventure show. But now the surprising part. I actually hope this show isn't remade for modern day TV. Updates and remakes have a tendency to, well, suck. There are exceptions to every rule, of course. But then there's the reason the rule exists in the first place.
And now here's the host of Pyramid,
And I wouldn't want to see that done with this show. So with that, that wraps up my review. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm the Game Show Reviewer, reviewing the game show greats and the occasional dud. Oh hey, wow! I didn't know this would actually work in subtime. That's why I started calling this realm, by the way. Well, welcome to where I've had to endure for a while now, ever since... Hell with it. Home base, this is Tempest One. Home base, this is Tempest One. Do you read? Home base, this is Tempest One. Do you read? Well, that was a long shot anyway. Alright, well anyways, I'm your game show reviewer, reviewing the game show greats and the occasional...
Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up.
Oh, here we go again.